Good morning. Welcome to Books at the Bottom of the Stairs. My name's Lorene, and there really are books at the bottom of the stairs almost all the time, or just above the stairs, and I'm feeling a little overwhelmed, so I guess I'll talk about it. So I'm feeling a little overwhelmed by my books. The books that I just showed you, those are the ones just on the stairs. There's a much smaller a much smaller pile up in my bedroom. Those are just two books, nonfiction, and there's a pile on the ottoman that's partly mine, partly Steve's. There's one or two in the kitchen where that's what I'm reading at lunchtime or breakfast, and that doesn't include the books in the studio. That those are more image-based books, but they're things that I flip through for the two projects that I'm working on right now. And that doesn't include the pile of books that are sort of referencey type books that I have beside my where I do my writing. So I'm overwhelmed with books, and I'm not sure why that's a problem. I've been going through this really weird stage this winter. It was triggered by when we had to take Cheryl's apartment at my friend who died a little while back, and her apartment had to be completely, emptied. And she was a very organized person. She had had a home, everything was in closets or on shelves or something. It wasn't cluttered, but there was so much. And it was just a small 2-bedroom apartment and a locker room. And she had a cottage. And now the stuff at the cottage, thank God, did not have to be dealt with. But things that we couldn't make decisions on went to the cottage. So we just got into this decluttering mode, and part of the issue was that Cheryl had organized things as they made sense to her as the user. And when she was gone, it's like, okay, I'm not entirely sure I understand that pile of paraphernalia. And so I started to get onto this track of watching decluttering videos, which, not the hoarder things, but the decluttering where people would have a closet that was just overwhelming, and not the ones where they were selling a product. So you like buy 16 of these little fix-it boxes and your world will be solved. No, not those, just like sensible people trying to figure out sensible solutions to a studio problem or a kitchen problem or what have you. So I got onto the decluttering thing and sort of burst out in the kitchen and managed to declutter 2 or 3 spots that really were a problem. And it's just stayed with me. It's like I'm decluttering this, I'm decluttering that. And so I come to the books, and some of these books have been sitting here for more than 2 years. And I'm looking at them going, yeah, but I still want to read them, but not very much. And then I feel guilty because 2 years ago I really, really wanted to read them, but the pile's just, I don't have the discipline to read what comes in the house immediately. It's like, oh, that's going to be perfect for June. That's going to be perfect when I'm on the plane. That's how my thinking goes. That's how I pile them up. So I've got a pile for traveling, I've got a pile for at the camp, and I've got a pile for in case I have a broken leg again. And so I just looking at the piles now thinking, they're not serving me the same way. My original thinking, organizing system has failed me. And so I don't know where to go next. And the part of that is that I used to use an app on my phone called Reading List. It's free. And if you haven't tried it and you're looking for a really simple keeping track of your books kind of a system, it's perfect. You can scan barcodes and you can make little files. This is not a paid thing. This is just me telling you what I use. And you can create little sub-files. And so, for instance, you could have a file that said, books I saw while shopping, but didn't buy. Or recommended by. And so, for instance, if your book club has a bunch of recommendations as you're chatting, you can throw it in there. Because you can either find a book using the ISBN number on the back, you can just scan the barcode, and it'll link you to the book and all of the paraphernalia about how many pages and what's the storyline. Or you can do that online. You can type in the title, and then it will bring up that book, and then you can add it to your list. You can also do what I've read, what I didn't finish, Canadian books. So it's as good as it is as good a system as your mental filing system is. I started to do it chronologically, and I'm now on my 6th year of using it. And what I haven't been able to do is take all of the books from 2020, for instance, and put them into a sub file. So I have so many files from. I did it by month. So 2021 January, 2021 February, then repeat for 2022. So I have got, what is that, 5? So we've got 60 files I have to come down to get to 2026, and so it's just not working for me at the moment, and I haven't found a substitute. So and I don't want to use Goodreads or anything. I don't want to use anything that's connected to a bookseller's system or a book ranking system. Like, I just want my information to be my information, which is one of the reasons I handwrite everything down. But when I'm talking to people, when I'm out in the big bad world, and people say, oh, can you make a book recommendation? Then I think, oh, okay, yeah, I can. But I'm terrible for remembering titles or remembering names, so I need this visual prompt to help me get there. So part of my dilemma here on the steps is that that reading list system supported me in a way. Like, I could, instead of having everything stacked here, it was stacked in my phone of what I wanted to read and what I had read. And so it's a pretty simple system here. It's not read, and then there's a pile here of reading, and then there's a third pile here that's read that I want to talk about to you guys, and there's a fourth pile out in the hallway, which is return to library pile. That seemed pretty good, except that as I keep going up and down the stairs, this shelf behind me, it's not moving. I'm not getting through it, even though there's like some books in there that honestly I like seriously want to read. And the books around me, let me see if I move. Yeah, okay, so this pile, no, you still can't see it. From what you can see, it's actually 3 times that height. And then there's all those other books around me. And all of those books I really want to read too, but they are more recent bring into the house. So the problem with the whole system is I have too many books, and I don't read. I put them in a lineup as opposed to just going, I want to read this right now. Oh, so like, is that a problem or is that not a problem? There's a part of me that's, these sort of slightly perfectionist, slightly OCD, compulsive tidier that's like, no, you got to do it according to the plan. So in the last, year and a half or so, I've been much more, I want to read this now. At the same time as having, I want to read these in February, I want to read these in March. So that whole I want to read these in February, March actually is part of a system of making sure that I bring to the YouTube channel, that I make sure that I haven't done something like, I'll talk about it in a minute, but I haven't done something like read 3 books in a series and that's all I've got to talk to you about. Because if you don't like the first book in the series, or I don't, or whatever, it's like, okay, now we're stuck. The next 3 videos are going to be about this series. And you're like, the reviewer is going, But I do say, bring forward what you most enjoy when you're doing when you're in my position and talking to you. Is I don't think too much about you in the sense that, those people really want me to read that book. No, I read what I want to read. So it's this little, when you stir the tea to get the sugar in, you get that little whirlwind. That's my brain. And so what am I going to do about it? I don't have an answer. Oh, there's another pile in here I forgot about. The books I have to read for book club. And so since I'm in 3 book clubs, that's already, I don't want to quit my book clubs because I love the people. I'm in the book clubs for the people. I'm not in it for the books. Over and over, books are chosen that I just think, oh, and they just become burden reads. And my one book club, I really just read was honest. I did not read the books that were awful. But I think they're getting a little impatient with me. It's not my fault we chose 8 shitty books out of 12, but that's what we did. The other 2 book clubs, it's up and down what gets chosen. And generally I'm a good team player, and every once in a while a book comes up where I go, I know I'm not going to read that. There was one nonfiction about an American female journalist, and it was huge, and everybody loved it. It wasn't that there was anything wrong with the journalist or the book, but I don't do memoirs, and so I didn't read it, and I feel guilty because everybody loved it. And we did the Austins last month by Sarah Emsley, was that right? And so anyhow, maybe I should edit that little piece out. So you do want to hear about some books. I understand that, but if I just wanted to share my angst in case you're having similar problems about, like how to enjoy your book pile. Some people I've noticed have got things like they'll spin a wheel and it will help them choose a book, or they might have a bingo board where they've given themselves 25 prompts and they'll go through their much bigger pile and get through, that gives them 25 books that, they know they're going to read that year. Some people do it like they've got a number beside each book, and then they'll spin a random numberizer, and so they're going to read book 13. I can't do that. I'm too much of an emotional reader, so if I'm in a really sad place, I can't read a sad book. If I'm really in a slightly hyper ADHD kind of a moment, there's certain kinds of books I can't read that way either. And if I'm in an angry mood, I can't read a bad book. The books suffer if I'm in a pissed off mood. I can't give an honest ranking. So one of the things I did, of course, because it makes absolutely no sense at all, I went online to thrift books, and I was telling you guys about The Mystery of the Great Swamp. And it was by a certain children's book club publishing company. And I bought the books that would have been in that age group, sort of. And so I need to, just a sec. So the way these were organized, how did that go? Okay, so I think I went on to eBay. That's right. I went on to eBay just to see what kind of prices I would be looking at if I wanted to buy the books that I was thinking of. And they had clumped them together into sort of a picture book, an early reader's book, a middle grade book, and then sort of a grade 4-5 book. And so I just went with one of the groupings that had the book that I was reading, The Mystery of the Great Swamp. And so I bought the adjacent books through thrift books, not through eBay. So I've just managed to introduce 7 new books into my pile. I'm not even sure I really want to read them. It was just a moment of lust, and I went for it. So I have Mystery in Little Tokyo by Frank Bonham. I have a funny feeling this might be culturally completely inappropriate nowadays. I don't know. I don't know. I have a feeling that I have seen this book, and for whatever reason, I just didn't go for it. But we'll see. This is the kind of thing that would be fun to just tuck between adult books that are heavy. So these are palette cleansers, I guess. John Belair's Mystery, featuring Louis Barneveld. Oh, it's got a price tag right over the title. It's not going to come out. Figure in the Shadows. And I think this is, yes, these are 1 and 2. I don't know which is first. The House with the Clock in Its Walls by John Belair's. So one of these books was not part of the group. It started with book number 2, so I got book number 1. So I remember not liking Ramona by Beverly Cleary, but I bought one. What was I thinking? I wanted the whole group. It was like complete. I don't know why I didn't like Ramona, but I didn't. I thought she was silly. And I think she's got a partner. I don't know if it's a pet or a friend called Beezes or Beezeb or something. Anyways, I had no patience for Ramona. The Ghost of Windy Hill. When I saw it, excuse me. When I saw it, I thought it was much thicker. I thought it was going to be about 100 pages or so. This one's about 50 some odd pages, and it's got some really spooky illustrations. Steve came in the door, and so I moved everything so that he could get safely past all the equipment, and I put the book down that I was talking about, and I can't find it. So I don't know what I was talking about. This one is one of my favorites. It is Where the Lily Blooms by Vera and Bill Cleaver, illustrated by Jim Spunfeller. Oh, what a great name, Spunfeller. So let me find a picture by Mr. Spunfeller. It's, they're lovely pencil drawings. This book, one of these days, I probably have talked about this book because I'm pretty sure I've read it since I started doing this channel. So, but maybe I'll bring it back and talk to you about it, because I probably talked about it in books that won't crush your soul, won't crush your heart. I'll double check on it. Anyways, excellent book. One of my top 20. Okay, and then the book that I picked up that makes me laugh the most is The Laughing Dragon by Kevin Mahoo. And look at the illustration. Oh, it's so good inside. And young Tara Martin used to own it. And let me see if I can get you. It's just so energetic, and the colors are so, what would you say? They're just so unapologetic, you know? They're just, look at those color combinations. Who'd have thunk it? Anyways, this is about a dragon who laughs too much, and he was a very small dragon when he was first brought to the emperor of Japan, and everybody was super happy, and the dragon was just, you know, like one of the most favorite creatures of the palace and the emperor, and he was small enough that he could kind of go underneath the floorboards, and he could heat the air underneath the floorboards, so in the winter everybody was nice and warm. But as he got older, his force of breath was too strong, and he starts like burning the courtiers. What are they called? People of the court. So as much as they don't want to, they ban him to an island of his own where he can, unfortunately, not laugh, because there's nothing to laugh at. So he's sad. And they figure out a way to get the dragon back to his land, which the emperor's land is being completely snowbound, and everybody's freezing, and they regret having sent the dragon away. And so eventually they figure out how to manage things, how to coexist. Please do not tell jokes to the dragon. Oh, it's so good. Yeah, so I'm very happy with that purchase, despite the fact that it completely adds to the confusion behind me. So I do have that one book. I did read this. Steve and I read it as a read aloud just the other night while we had a fire going. It was super fun. Okay, the book that I was starting to allude to a little earlier was series, and this book, Son of a Trickster by Eden Robinson, I read when it was a new release back in 2017, and I read it with the book club that has morphed. At that time, it was being held at the store called Woozles, and it was a gang of people who just loved young adult writing, and it was great for years, and then pandemic, things fell apart. So 2017, this was our book of choice. This is also a Canada Reads selection in 2020, and it was also the Scotiabank Giller Prize finalist. I guess that means it was on the short list. So Eden Robinson is a Canadian author, and she has a number of books. This series, and then when we were in another bookstore, which is a whole other story, Steve found this book, Monkey Beach, which I have not read, and it looks a bit heavy. A haunting coming of age story with tragic elements. I mean, that's what this book is about too. So we've got Jared and his mom, who is only ever called Mom, living in Kitimat up in BC. And Mom and Jared are, when we first meet them, there is a dad involved, Phil, and his mom. I guess she's grandma. And, nothing particular is happening in the early years. There's just, and we only see Jared as a 5-year-old for a very short period of time. The next time we see Jared, his parents have split up, and Jared is about age, what would that be, about 13, I guess, grade 10. Yeah, is that about right? That's about right. And he is starting to really suffer from Mom's lifestyle. What a mother. You do not want this woman as your mother. She is always on the precipice of rage and violence. Never towards Jared. She was always like super overprotecting him, which means he becomes fairly passive in the face of her anger and rage. And what is she angry about? She's just angry about other people and her own childhood, and constantly being expected to be a certain kind of female, and I mean that in the domestic sense more than anything. And she rebels against it and comes up against a partner, David, who really wasn't interested in her. He was more interested in Jared as a punching bag. And so that we see those in flashbacks. And her current partner, Richie, is a drug trafficker. And she's with him not out of love, but because she sees this as a source of income. So and it's not a business arrangement, it's fairly physical. A lot of drugs, a lot of drinking, lots of kind of drunken shouting at each other. The kids in his class are also drinking heavily. It's close to a reservation. There's res kids and not res kids, and it's taking place out on the West Coast. So we get a little bit of a very scant view of how the clans work and who's had potlatches and who's a good potlatch holder and who isn't. And there's just all kinds of petty bickering going on. So Jared lives in a home that his mother has. One of the reasons she's partnered up with Richie is she wants to pay the mortgage off. That's her goal. Like in terms of maintenance or anything like that, that's a byproduct, that she just wants this house to be a safe place. And so there's tenants coming and going to rent the bedrooms, and there's parties all the time and drugs all the time. Next door is Mr. and Mrs. Jacks. One of them is a First Nations person, and the other person is Czechoslovakian. And Mrs. Jacks turns out to have some supernatural capacity, but she has subsumed it into her faith path, so she rejects that section of herself. Well, as you get towards page 217, the story starts to move. So why am I reading this book? In 2017, I loved it. I thought, oh yeah, I really want to read the end of it. I want to read the next 2 books in the series, and then I forgot about it. And of course, the next 2 books came out, and someone said, oh yeah, that's a complete trilogy now. It's safe to read. I don't like to read a trilogy unless everything's published. So I went back and thought, yeah, start at the beginning because it's been so long. And as I'm reading it this weekend, I was thinking, why did I like this book? I do not like drunk stuff. I do not like drug stuff. I do not like people hurting each other in drunken rages or drug-induced rages. I hate that kind of self-serving violence. It just really upsets me. So, but I was thinking, I remember parts, and finally by 217, I'm starting to get the stuff that I remembered. So that's 200 pages of what the heck am I reading to finally, finally, we're getting to the part where Jared is coming to be aware that he's not a normal kid. He is the son of Trickster. Trickster has over 500 kids, so he hasn't been a very present parent. He's kind of around looking after all these kids. I don't know if that's just in the current generation that he's got 500 kids or whether that's over the course of his entityness. That one detail we didn't find out. So Trickster has a sister, and she has been visiting Jared periodically and just scaring the pants off of him because he can see that she's not human. There's like bird-like stuff happening under her face that's kind of in and out. And so he's very confused, and there's a girl next door, the granddaughter of Mr. and Mrs. Jackson. He sees that she has fireflies around, but the fireflies are always talking to him, and they're talking poetry or philosophy or life or quantum mechanics or quantum theory, I think. And so he's just so confused. And then all of a sudden these Neanderthals come up through his basement floor, and they're like hanging around watching TV. It starts to get really fun and exciting and bizarre. And so he then finds out, I guess I'm just going to spoil, he just finds out things that he could have found out sooner, but his nature was not like these other supernatural beings. It wasn't that he rejected them, it's that he rejected their malice. And he was a very nice person in a world where people just don't know how to be kind or nice or loving, or love has more to do with loyalty and possession, I guess. So yeah, I'm so glad I got to the end of the book, because now I know that yes, I do want to read book 2. Although if it continues with, he's gone to Alcoholics Anonymous as a 13, 14-year-old, and the youngest one in the group. So long as he can stay sober, like people drunk around him isn't so bad, but it's when Jared was completely wasted that I thought, it wasn't that he was a bad character, it was just that it didn't appeal to me. So I was pretty 50-50 on this book right up until the last quarter. And so do I recommend it? I'm not 100% sure that I recommend it. I think if, we'll see how book 2 goes. So that's what I was talking about a little bit in the beginning of this whole thing, was if I was to follow my passion, I'd grab book 2. But then I wouldn't have anything to bring forward. So I end up putting book 2 further down the list. So that whole kind of impulse thing gets very moderated, I guess. And consequently, I don't know how to organize my books. How's that for a circular discussion? Well, I hope all your reading dreams and adventures continue to come true, and you're not as overthinking it as I am. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye for now.